So one of the best places to get free or cheap wood is Craigslist. And I was looking on Craigslist a couple days ago and I noticed that somebody had cut down a redwood tree and they were giving away some of the chunks of redwood. So I printed up the Craigslist ad to show you guys. Now the first thing that I noticed is that the wood was really red right in the middle and it had a lighter ring going around the outside. So I really liked the way that the wood looked and I knew that I wanted it. So I also noticed that it said posted about an hour ago. So what I did is I called right away and I ended up leaving a message. So the lady called me back about an hour later and she said that all the smaller pieces of redwood were already gone. And she said that she still had a few of the bigger chunks left. So I told her I would take them and I scheduled a time to go over there as quickly as I could. Now the other thing that I noticed is that she put on the ad, she said homegrown 45 plus years. And I asked her about that when I got there and she told me that she planted the tree in 1976 and at the time it was in a big pot, so it was already a few years old. So she estimated that the tree was about 45 years old. Now normally when I work with redwood, I assume the wood's probably hundreds of years old. So this is definitely the youngest redwood that I've ever worked with. And it's hard for me to admit this to you guys, but I'm actually a year older than the redwood I'm gonna be working with today. So I'm gonna do what I normally do, which is to build some sort of piece to hang on the wall. Obviously, I don't need a ton of this wood. I just need a little bit of it. So I'm going to take the smallest piece right there and I'm going to start by cutting it into approximately 1 inch thick slices. And once I have a few slices cut, I'm going to go ahead and lay those pieces out on my table and take a good look at them and figure out if I can how to build some sort of wall hanging art sculpture piece out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting and I guess we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've got a few slices of wood cut already, and some of you may have noticed that I'm using this pole saw, and believe me, this wasn't my first choice when I was looking at my saws this morning trying to pick one out to do the job. I've got 3 other chainsaws that are much bigger than this, but the problem is they all have their various problems, and you know, I'm not in the mood to troubleshoot chainsaws today or drive into town and go buy parts for them. That could take all day. I'm in the mood to build this wall art sculpture, so I'm using what I've got. And one of the challenges with using the pole saw, as you can imagine, is cutting the pieces nice and even all the way through. The saw only goes about halfway through the log, so there's no way that I can really make these slices perfectly smooth and even. But here's the thing, I'm building a rustic wall art wood sculpture. And I actually like the pieces not to be perfectly even. I like them to have some unevenness in the front, and that can actually add to the piece and give it more character than it would have if the pieces were perfectly smooth. So it's not a problem for me having these pieces uneven. The good news is this redwood was cut down a couple of days ago, so it's really soft and easy to cut. So I'm gonna move right along here and get a few more slices cut and then figure out how exactly I'm gonna build this thing. So the wall art wood sculpture is all done for now. And what I mean by that is that I still haven't put a coat of polyurethane on it. And the reason for that is that the wood is still extremely wet on the inside. And even as I feel some of these different pieces, I can still feel a lot of moisture on top of the wood. So at this point, I really don't even think that polyurethane will even stick to this wood. So this is the first time I've ever worked with wood this wet before, and I really have no idea exactly how long it's going to take for it to season, but I'm guessing it's probably going to take at least 6 months and maybe even up to a year before it's completely dry. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen to the wood as it dries, but I'm only guessing that all these pieces of wood are going to develop a lot of cracks in them as it dries. And the reason that I think that is because I'm already starting to see cracks in the wood that I didn't notice when I first glued these pieces of wood to the plywood. Especially this centerpiece. I'm seeing cracks all the way around this piece of wood and even in the center. So I think it's just going to look better as it seasons and these cracks start to develop, but I'm really not worried about any of this redwood falling off the plywood because everything's glued and nailed down really good. But what might happen is some of the redwood may separate from the plywood, so I may have to add a little bit of glue here and there, and maybe even a few finish nails to help hold everything down. But I really didn't want to wait a year or more to show you guys the finished product. And as far as I'm concerned, it's done for now, and who knows, maybe I'll never even put a coat of polyurethane on it and just leave it just the way it is. But anyway, I know it's been a long video and I really appreciate you guys sitting through it. But when it comes to woodworking, I really don't like to rush it, because here's the thing, woodworking minus patience equals firewood. So next time you guys are doing a woodworking project, I would really encourage you to take your time and do your very best every single time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and good luck on your next woodworking project.